for me. As long as I keep Good morning, Facebook. You give me the victory because you promised in your word that you would never leave me. You will never leave me nor forsake me, no. Through it all, you're with me, yeah. Through every tear, through every pain, So I gotta turn this music down quick because they definitely would mute you, girl, for coming on here with other people's songs. See, if God would have gave me a voice for singing, I could have just been singing my own songs, but that's not the plan he had for me. So I ain't gonna talk about that. But good morning. If you saw the notification for today's live, the question that I'm asking you is, what are your bylaws? So you might be saying, Karen, what is a bylaw? So I'm just going to give you what the dictionary says a bylaw is. Definition states, a bylaw is a rule made by a company or society to control the action of its members. So I'm going to break this down to be a personal definition for you. So you are going to be the representative of the company. The company is you, right? So basically, today's definition of bylaw is a rule made by you or by your company, which is you again, to control the action of its members. So you realize that you are the company and you are the society. So we're talking about rules that you have created for yourself. And some of these bylaws may be timeline guidelines for ourselves, like things that push us to ask the question, well, why hasn't it happened for me? So these are some things that I'm going to use an example as bylaws. And each of them is going to start with by now. And that's what our bylaws, what we're going to be discussing today. So one that I know a lot of people may be saying to themselves is, by now, I should be married. That's our first bylaw. By now, I should have purchased my first home. That's our second bylaw. By now, I should have finished school or gotten my PhD. By now, I should have started my family. By now, I should be making six figures. By now, I should have started my business. So my first question to you is, who gave you this timeline? Is this a timeline that you created? Is this part of your goal plan that by now, as of today, these things should have happened? Well, we all know that our timeline is not going to be the perfect timeline. Like God's timeline for us is completely different from what our timeline is. Even some of our goals and some of our desires that we have may not be the desires that He has for us. And that leads me straight into our verse for today. I'm going to go to Hebrews 11, verse 1. And even though you keep saying to yourself, by now, XYZ should have happened, let's go back for a moment and go back to faith, because you have to have faith that whatever God is choosing to do in your life is going to happen at the perfect timing, because it's His will. And Hebrew 11 verse 1 states, faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. So as long as we keep having faith in what God has promised us, and you read all the promises in the Bible, as long as we keep that faith, then we know that whatever God has for us, our destiny is going to come to pass. And it's not going to have an expiration date on it. You know, why have we put an expiration date on God? Hey, Ash. Ash says, "Oh my gosh, Marcus Cash and I just had this discussion last night." See, is right on time, Ashley. Like, why have we put an expiration date on God? Did we start putting a number on it, a time frame on it, because we gave up on God? Like, don't get distracted by your timeline. I know a lot of us, we see our timeline, we see our friends, we see people that we know that have major things going on. We see celebrities that are, they have major stuff going on. You're like, well, I probably knew them when they were in high school. I knew them back then when they had nothing. Now they have all of this. Well, I don't have mine yet. Probably because it's not your time yet. And you have to be okay with that. You have to keep pushing and working towards your goals. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have some kind of structured format of what your 5-year goal plan is or your 10-year goal plan is. But when it doesn't happen in your timing, it's okay. Keep pushing. I talked last week about not giving up. You can't give up because it didn't happen when you wanted it to happen. A lot of us have expectations from God, but we haven't even give him an invitation. And when I say that, I mean this. Like, we expect him to bless us on our timelines for us, but we haven't even invited him in to say, God, well, show us what it is that you want from us. Show us where we need to be. We can't have these blind expectations without even inviting him into the situation. Look at Sarah. Sarah was about, if you know a little bit about the Bible, Sarah's about 90 years old before God came to her and told her she would be having her first child. Her first, not her second, not her third, but her first child. You think she had to buy now? She probably did. But even in and that's in Genesis 15 and Genesis 22, even in that process, you'll see that God blesses you when it's time, when it's your time. Like, you have to trust the process. Hey, Chris, you have to trust your journey. Your process and your journey is not going to look like anyone else's. It's like that fingerprint. We all have fingerprints, but none of them are the same. We all have stories. They might have similarities. We might have some of the same rough patches, but our stories are not identical. Even identical twins have different stories. So embrace that and know that those time frames that you're putting on yourself, you're just going to make yourself angry or upset when you don't reach these goals or these timelines in the time that you put for yourself. So use your timeline as guidelines, but when you're really waiting for God to bless you, you have to just invite him into your situation. And you can't pay attention to what everybody else has going on. Take for instance, if you're into movies, becoming an actor at a young age is normally the thing to do. A lot of people, once they get past a certain age, you're not able to get into the business. But take for instance, like Michael Clark Duncan. A lot of us should be familiar with him. He was 38 when he got his first break. So even things like that, you have to be aware when it is your time, it's going to happen. I see Chris says sooner or later it will work in your favor, and that is correct. When it's your time, sooner or later, it will definitely happen and work out in your favor. So we have to trust God in the whole process. And while you're going through the process, we also have to understand that our journey is going to be something that we need to take keynotes from. We have to be able to take lessons from it, because the lessons that we learn is going to help us for the next level of our achievements. So don't just fly through or expect to fly through things without accepting the lessons that come with it. And before I close out, I just want to give us some affirmations to go along with it. Our first affirmation is, I wake up every morning ready for a new day of exciting possibilities. Our second affirmation, I am a powerful creator. I create the life I want and enjoy it. Our third affirmation, I am living to my full potential. Our fourth affirmation: I will be open minded and always eager to explore new avenues to success. And our last affirmation for today is I can never fail, for everything that happens contributes to me being better. So recite these affirmations to yourself in the morning so that you can feed your mind, because we all know that even though we may have these timelines or these guidelines for our goals, they don't always happen in that manner. And we have to be okay with that. We have to keep on pushing. We have to reach our goals. And sometimes we just have to change the directions and not focus on the buy now. So thank you all for joining me on today. If you want to catch more of me and more of my podcast, go ahead and follow me at anchor.fm/KTL Lifestyle. Also, this episode is being sponsored by uniquelyblended.com. And go ahead and just to get to know a little bit more about me as well at KarenTLewis.com. So thank you so much for joining us on today. And I hope you have a blessed day. And I love you and mean it. And there's nothing that you can do about it. Bye-bye, y'all.